These are garbage.
Goodbye. Happy Monday morning! For the first time in a while, I think I'm recording on a Monday morning. Hello, I'm Chris Noosh, once again back in my studio, and I'm going to be working on a couple things this week. The first thing that I need to do is I need to print a couple t-shirts that I neglected to print last week. So I need to print those today, first thing, so I can get them in the mail ASAP. Second thing that I need to do is I need to start working on some carved and painted framed pieces that are going to be included in an upcoming show at ABV Gallery here in Atlanta, Georgia. I've got two things sketched out for that currently, and why not put them on the screen as I'm drawing them? The two things, I drew them last week. They are, the first one is a manatee with a gift underwater, and I really like the colors on this one. I forget if I filmed the colors or not, but you'll see them eventually. But I really like this one. I think it's going to be a fun piece, and I'm most excited about this one specifically. And then the second piece that I have is the trombone piece that I wanted to do, and I figured out the correct animal for this. And I think this scale, the 1 foot by 1 foot piece, is going to be kind of great for this piece. Piece. I keep repeating words. But the trombone, the otter. Oh, that was the great reveal. I didn't tell you what it was. It's a sea otter. And I wanted it to be like a cute young little sea otter, but I couldn't figure out how to get a cute young sea otter to make expressions. One of the funny things about drawing expressions is that they need a lot of lines and a lot of like eyebrow movement too. Because this one is a very intense face going on, and the more lines you put in something, the older it looks, especially with the otter being with the eyes closed. So I decided it's not impossible, just it wasn't giving me the look that I was looking for. So I aged the otter a little bit, and I made him a older otter. So those are the two pieces that I'm working on this week. I'm going to start with one of them, which is the manatee, the sea cow with the gift. And I'm going to finish that and a bunch of tiny carvings that I have sitting on my desk for a while. I need to paint up those and a commission. So much going on. Long story short, I'm going to simplify this for you. I'm going to carve the manatee after I'm done printing t-shirts. And then I'm going to paint the manatee, the tiny carvings, and a commission that I'm working on. And we'll see what day of the week I finish all of those. And depending on when that is, I will start the sea otter. So that's what you have to look forward to this week. Let's get started. First things first, let's get those t-shirts printed.
Hello, B. Do you want to help me print some t-shirts? Go get the ink out. Let's go. Now that that's done, mine's clear, and I can start working on this piece. It is the manatee holding a gift. I've already spray painted it. Frame built, but not stained. I still need to sand and stain this. But that is my next piece that I'm gonna carve. So let's start carving. Ta-da! And looky there. This manatee has a gift for you floating down the water. It's very calm water, thus the straight line at the top. And I did a sketch for a tiny carving last week, I believe, that I didn't like, but I had the idea to put flowers on top of a manatee, so I just kind of went with that. All right, now it's time to start painting the tiny carvings, starting with, guessed it, another manatee. I don't know how many of you guys out there also have cats, but in the winter months, I mean, Marty likes to hang out with me all times of the year, but in the winter months, she's very, very obsessed with jumping into my lap here. And she did it again while I was painting these tiny carvings. And, you know, it's not the most difficult thing in the world to paint these little things, but it's a lot more difficult when you have a cat sitting in your lap and just annoyed that you're doing anything else but just paying 100% attention to her. But she sat in my lap for probably about an hour while I was carving all these little guys. It is Wednesday, and I've painted all of the tiny carvings. Those are all painted up and ready to get inked. I've got my commission painted, and that's also ready to get inked. The only thing that's not painted and ready to get inked is this manatee given the gift. And I think I've come up with a name for this one. I think I'm going to call it Same Day Delivery. A couple things that I want to point out in this piece that make sense to me, and I don't know. Manatees, they exist in like slow-moving water. They're slow-moving creatures. That's the reason at the top here, it's a straight line instead of normal like cartoon waves for the water, because this water ain't moving. Well, it's moving, but it's not moving quickly, so it's flat topped water. So that's one thing there. They're slow. I just thought it'd be funny to call it Same Day Delivery. The colors I'm going to be using for this piece, I've got it drawn out into my sketchbook, and I believe that they could be one of the strongest aspects of this piece, and that's the colors that I'm hoping to use right there. Everything underneath the water is going to kind of have that aquamarine hue to it, and then everything above the water line is going to be bright and colorful. Not that this isn't bright and colorful, but it's kind of all, it's all got the, whatever I mixed up for that background color mixed into it. Oops, I just drew onto it. Oh no, I ruined it. Anywho, I can undo that. Let's put another one over there. I'm just putting them all over the place. All right, enough's enough. Let me mix up some of this green, because I'm going to be using a lot of that in this piece. And then I will paint the manatee up and then get them all inked today. And that's kind of exciting. I love inking days. And today's one of those days. And I'm about 10 to 20 minutes into painting this one. And you can already see Marty staring up at me in the top left-hand corner of the screen. She doesn't get her way today. She never jumped up, and I think I may have picked her up and put her into my lap at some point during this, but it's just moving so fast. I don't think she stuck around for very long. So, didn't get her way today, but that's okay. She'll be back. You know she will. Dun 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 dun! The tiny woodcuts and the manatee carving are all finished up, and now everyone's favorite part. Well, I don't want to speak for you. My favorite part, and I think a lot of people's favorite part, is coming up. I gotta put some ink on the surface of these, so let's get to inking. Tiny carvings are up first. I think the colors look pretty good, pretty identical to actually what I had on the iPad screen. So I'm kind of happy about that. I like how this looks kind of monotone, but definitely the manatee pops through a little bit because it's slightly lighter, and then the highlights that I put in there. And then I also like how the
the top layer, of the above the water area, let's call it, is just so bright and vibrant. Hopefully the inking will bring everything else out as it typically does. But now it is time to ink this guy up. Let's see how it looks. The most nervous part. Let's see if I just wasted a handful of hours. There's a little bit there. Oh, that's just a little bit on top of the wood. All right, that'll get inked over. All right, let's get some ink on this guy.
Now let's zoom in to take a closer look at this finished piece. I think the black frame really, it kind of brings it all together with the black of the image and everything. And I also really like how you can see the texture of the wood. Let me get a little bit closer here. Texture of the wood in this piece. Like underneath the ink, the surface of the wood comes through. I think the surface of a piece is actually really important. It kind of, in my opinion, is what makes professionally made things look professional, is a really intentional and well-maintained surface. And the tiny carvings always come out so bright and colorful and fun, like this sassy little bird here. All right, it's Thursday morning now, and while I wait for those to dry, the manatee and all the tiny prints, I can finish this piece up. So I'm gonna start carving on this one, see how far I get. My goal, optimistically, is to finish this by tomorrow. Let's see if we can do it. I think we may be able to get there. It's not a huge ask. It's a little optimistic, but it's not a huge ask. So let's get carving on it. That's the only way to start finding out. Let's go. Oof, it's all finished, and I gotta tell you, this was not an easy one to carve. This little otter, especially in the face area. You know, I know in the past that I've talked about when you carve with the grain, it likes to peel, which is great. That's my favorite part. But when you cut against the grain, it likes to chip, and that's not so good. And this one, for real, like the peeling was going really well with this piece, but the chipping was also amplified up. So every time I went across a mark, little pieces of wood would chip up. And while I don't mind it happening here and there, it's part of the process, and it makes it look like a woodcut. So it's great, in my opinion, for like little bits here and there. But this one was happening everywhere. And I just wanted to control it a little bit more. So I had to go real slow. So I was able to control it. I think I controlled it enough, but I guess what I'm talking about is stuff like that, which is almost unnoticeable. And then there's areas in here where the line is not intact right there for the slide on the trombone. I controlled it, and I think it looks good. I'm not concerned about the finished product because, you know, from a distance like this, you're not going to see it. But I did have to slow down on this piece. It probably had to do with the piece of wood that I used for this one. It's maybe about 2 to 3 years old. It's just been sitting in the basement for a while, gathering dust and moisture and just getting the surface of it getting old and stuff. Maybe that's what it is, but who knows? Maybe if I would have carved this 2 to 3 years ago, it still would have had the same consistency to it. Some pieces of wood are just built that way. Anywho, it is Thursday. You know, this took all day. So it's getting close to 5 o'clock on Thursday. So I'm going to be painting this one tomorrow. But before I sign off for the day, I want to show you 3 sketches that I was doing last night as I was kind of sitting relaxing, winding down for the evening, that I'm considering to do for tiny prints. So I've got this sad robot piece. This would be a tiny print. I've got the three, there's only two manatees quick sketch that I'm considering for a tiny print. And then finally, I've got this, what I'm going to call a happy bara that I'm considering for a tiny print. I just want to show those to you because I think they're fun. It's Friday morning yet again, and I am back in the painting corner of my dusty room, as I like to call it. And I'm going to be working on painting the otter that I carved up yesterday, playing the trombone. And here's a funny little thing that I've been doing for the past 10 years. So I'm sure anybody who paints has seen one of these. This is just a little paint palette that I use to paint. And for the past 10 years, I've had one of these, and I kind of just wait for it to dry. And then I peel the paint out afterwards. Some of these are ready to peel out. Not all of them, but let's see. So when they dry, I've already pre-peeled this one, but you can just kind of pop it out and it's clean and it's really easy to do it that way. You don't have to use a lot of water. You don't have to worry about messing up the sink, anything like that. And that takes like a couple days to do. But this is mostly dry, but there's a couple colors in here that aren't dry, like the ones that were a little bit fuller like this. And this is mostly dry, but not quite there. But it's not ready to peel up yet. So what I do in the meantime is I kind of paint on this, and this is going to be fantastic, right? I would like pour my colors onto this block of wood and paint from here, but this is kind of a mess now because it's got like a, look at that. It's got like a peak in the middle, and anything that I put on either side just kind of drips down the side. And I don't want to start another paint block. So I don't know. This is kind of cool and kind of fun, but I don't want to start another one of those. And you would think that over the years, I would think to go ahead and grab another one of these bad boys, because these are like $1 at the art store. But I never did that until yesterday. And I had to go to 2 stores, but I finally found another one of those. It's not exactly the same, and I didn't want to go to like the good art store. I just went to Michael's and Joann's around the corner. And I finally got this, another one, because I knew I was going to be painting the sea otter today. And ta-da! I've got another one to kind of rotate in and out, so I don't have to do all that stuff. And even a third one, and this one's pretentious, and oh, it's got a little thumb hole, and I can use it, and I can do my little oil paintings. This one is going to be my emergency one. It's just not as useful. It's got only 6 compartments, and then 4 little compartments, making 10 compartments, and then this weirdo thumb hole, and it just looks weird. This, much more efficient. It's got 10 compartments and then 1 big reservoir in the middle if I'm using like a color that I want to mix from, or a bunch of little colors can go in there. And then it's got the raised areas that I can put little dots on if I want to. Anywho, this is better. This is pretentious, but it'll work. Ho-ho! And then all these palette knives that come with it. I guess maybe if you oil painted, these would work kind of, but there's better ones than this. These are garbage. Goodbye. All right. Later. All right, I'm going to start painting now. Look who's back. Well, this time she refused to get comfortable. You can see she hopped in my lap for a second there, but then she decided to walk on top of my painting back and forth between her bed that sits on this table and my lap. Oh, about 10 times in the span of about 3 minutes. So yeah, she never got comfortable. She eventually left and went to go sleep in another spot. but she was back. She was back. Now, I thought it'd be interesting to show you how I mix up the paint. And there it is, the nice little foresty, light forest, minty green color for the background, and just being careful not to get it into the sea otter areas that I've painted earlier. Very careful. I'll move from big brush to smaller brushes just to get it all finished up.
And now that it's done being painted, it's time to ink it up. It's got a lot of areas for the brayer to fall into on this one. So I hope I don't fall into those. Hope I don't fall into those. All right, now let's ink it up. So I fell into the ink a couple times, like there and up here. No big deal. I've got the paint that I mixed up for that still wet. And I'm just going to drop some paint on top of those little spots, just to cover them up. See, not too bad.
After painting these up, you wouldn't even notice they're there. They're literally painted with the exact same paint that I used before. All right, it is Friday night, and I am finished with everything now. I've got the otter playing the trombone all finished, all inked up and all good. I've got the manatee delivering the gift, same day delivery. I've got that one all done, and I've got all of my tiny carvings all finished and inked and painted, and even the commission piece I was working on. Everything that I set out to do this week, I finished, and I couldn't be happier about it. And a couple extra things I got done this week too. See, look, the manatee in the flesh. There it is. I don't have it in the frame yet because I want to scan it first before I do that. But this one's done. I'll be scanning and doing all the documentation stuff on these pieces next week. But that's all I have for you this week. But before I let you go, I want to get your thoughts on the tiny carving prints that I might do next week. I've showed them to you earlier in the video. I've got the sad little robot, the two manatees, and the happy Bara. Which one of those three would you like to see me work on this next week? Put your thoughts in the comments. I've got a favorite, or maybe something completely different. If you suggest something completely different, there's no guarantee that I'm going to do that. But I've got thoughts on what I want to work on next week. Let me know what you think. As always, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed everything that you saw this week, and I'll see y'all next week. Thanks. Bye.